that face, we often wait. Now we're live. I was receiving a face for not setting us live earlier, in case anyone was wondering.
I'm just pulling faces for the fun of it. It's my hobby.
You missed mine, but it was great.
I saw your mouth.
Are you there?
Yes, are you? Can
Yes.
you hear me?
I can now, but the connection's a little bit spotty. I don't know if that's you or me, to be honest. Okay. My power's been flickering a lot today, so I don't know. But we'll just...
I think we signed up for the unlimited broadband when the kids started going to school, and we realized we were using way more than we used to.
Well, it's been very off and on. There's also a lot of weather happening, so like dust in the air and stuff. Mm-hmm.
We will do the best with what we have.
Indeed. I will be on mute because I'm eating toast, and in fact, I will probably just sort of be invisible while I finish my toast.
Fair enough.
And then I'll be here listening.
We don't want to watch you too.
The internet doesn't need to see that. I don't care if you see that. But like,
I've seen it. It's fine. If anyone could make chewing look classy, it's this human right here.
I assure you that's not the case. But thank you.
All right. Let's see. Hang on. King of the Golden Hall. Crooked eyes. Truth may wear a wry face.
We finished that chapter.
The whole chapter?
Mm-hmm.
Fourth Eorlingas, the trumpet sounded far over the plain. You don't lie. I don't know why I had to put it that way.
Yeah, that was sort of accusatory. You don't lie.
You don't lie. Time. I'll catch you.
You can't catch me if you can't see me.
Chapter 7. Helm's Deep. The sun was already westering as they rode from Edoras, and the light of it was in their eyes, turning all the rolling fields of Rohan to a golden haze. There was a beaten way northwestward along the foothills of the White Mountains, and this they followed, up and down in a green country, crossing small, swift streams by many fords. Far ahead and to their right, the misty mountains loomed. Ever darker and taller they grew as the miles went by. The sun went slowly down before them. Evening came behind. The host rode on. Need drove them. Fearing to come too late, they rode with all the speed they could, pausing seldom. Swift and enduring were the steeds of Rohan, but there were many leagues to go. 40 leagues and more it was, as a bird flies, from Edoras to the fords of the Isen, where they hoped to find the king's men that held back the hosts of Saruman. Middle-earth is big.
Uh-huh.
I once made a friend with a sentence, like it was someone I'd never met before, and I butted into the conversation, which was about Tolkien, and I said the one thing you can be sure of in Lord of the Rings, if you open it up to any given page, is there's a good chance they're either walking somewhere or talking about walking somewhere. And this random human went, I don't know who you are, but you are my friend now.
I love that story, but I also love that you're talking about it as if that's the only time you've ever made a friend in one sentence. And I know for a fact it is not. If you had a superpower, that would be it.
I think about that conversation every time I'm reading because I'm like, oh, they're going. They're traveling again. This time they're riding horses. That's different from walking.
Not for the horses.
It's not a bad superpower. I thought of a really
No, it's a
good
great
one.
superpower.
Right? And it's real. Well, sometimes. I thought of a really cool superpower. One of those that no one would be able to track. Damn it. No, I can't remember what it was. If I think of it, I'll let you know.
Please do.
Night closed about them. At last they halted to make their camp. They had ridden for some 5 hours and were far out upon the western plain, yet more than half their journey lay still before them. In a great circle under the starry sky and the waxing moon they now made their bivouac. They lit no fires, for they were uncertain of events. But they set a ring of mounted guard about them, and scouts rode out far ahead, passing like shadows in the folds of the land. The slow night passed without tidings or alarm. At dawn the horns sounded, and within an hour they took to the road again. There were no clouds overhead yet, but a heaviness was in the air. It was hot for the season of the year. The rising sun was hazy, and behind it, following slowly up the sky, there was a growing darkness, as of a great storm moving out of the east. And away in the northwest there seemed to be another darkness brooding about the feet of the misty mountains, a shadow that crept down slowly from the wizard's veil. Gandalf dropped back to where Legolas rode beside Éomer. "You have the keen eyes of your fair kindred, Legolas," he said. "How many times are we going to bring up Legolas's elf eyes?"
Should we have been counting? I feel like we need some sort of tally. Sweater.
Right. "And they can tell a sparrow from a finch a league off. Tell me, because they're eagle eyes with the bell shape so that they can spot prey. Sparrow from a finch."
Who can't tell a sparrow from a finch? Sparrows are brown and finches are yellow.
That's important.
Fine. I'm just saying that's not hard. Like, give him two small brownish birds.
There's brown finches.
Well, they were yellow.
League away, you're like, you can see two elves who both have keen eyes, but neither is an ornithologist. Like, the beak shape is more downturned on the left one, so I think that's the finch. No, because look at the tail shape.
Little known fact, Charles Darwin was part elf.
I need to see this as a sketch. It's just elves arguing about shit that's 3 miles away. Like, clearly the bumper sticker is missing a comma. No, that's the sentiment they meant to convey.
What the hell, Kevin? You're supposed to be able to tell a wren from a finch. Well, I don't know. If it was an eagle, I would be able to identify it, but my thing is lizards. Okay, well, what's that lizard? It's a newt.
Newts aren't lizards. And I see them holding solo cups while they're look at the rack on that one. Which one? That one. It's about 22 blocks away. Turning into the library. No, you missed her.
I thought you were talking about deer. My brain did a full, like, why is the deer going into the library?
Your mind is so clean.
It's not. It's really not.
Yeah, you can tell a sparrow from a finch a league off. Tell me, can you see anything away yonder towards Isengard? Many miles lie between, said Legolas, gazing thither and shading his eyes with his long hand. Also, his hands are long, and that's a thing we get to hear about every time. It's eyes, hands.
My hands are long. You ain't special. I mean, only in comparison to their width. They're actually quite small, but they're very narrow.
I have hobbit hands. Also, I'm seeing Legolas with his solo cup. Well,
Legolas, what do you see? Hold my beer.
I can see a darkness. There are shapes moving in it, great shapes far away upon the bank of the river. But what they are, I cannot tell. It is not mist or cloud that defeats my eyes. There is a veiling shadow that some power lays upon the land, and it marches slowly downstream. It is as if the twilight under endless trees were flowing downwards from the hills. And behind
what could that be?
The twilight under endless trees, maybe?
I mean...
Occam's razor.
Occam's razor says that you shouldn't try to shave a zebra. They don't like it.
No, they don't. And behind us comes a very storm of Mordor, said Gandalf. It will be a black night.
They usually are.
Even more so.
So it's going to be...
loves to write things happening in pitch darkness. I feel like he had a vendetta against filmmakers. So every time something important was happening, it had to be in absolute blackness. Like, you'll never get this right. You want an accurate movie? It'll have to just be sounds with a black screen.
I've seen that movie. They make that one from time to time.
That's how I treat my Blackadder. It works really well as a radio play if you just turn off the screen and listen to the audio.
I'd never understood the joke about Amy Wamey and squirrels, though, until I had watched it.
See, I thought the audio was enough. I was picturing the squirrels. I mean, yes, he's dead as that squirrel. Which squirrel? Oh, that squirrel. I mean...
Okay, that one did work. Okay, I'll give you that. I'd forgotten that gag.
There's a gag with the playwrights and him, like, drop kicking their hats that never... Like, it gets a laugh, and I never knew where the laugh came from until I saw it.
Oh, yeah, I don't think I've seen that episode. I've seen... The visuals I have for Blackadder are very limited. Yeah. I definitely pictured Mrs. Miggins looking extremely different than she actually does.
Not to mention the fat prince.
Yeah, I did not get what all the jokes were about until I found out that he was the Prince Regent actually was extremely overweight. Exactly. And then I was like, oh, that's the joke when they cast Hugh Laurie. I get it.
But Hugh Laurie's voice, you can picture just about anything. And frankly, my brain did a better job of the interesting trousers. And when Baldric turns into an Alsatian, in my brain, it was an actual Alsatian. And there's a turnip bit. I've just broken a priceless turnip. I thought he broke it during the hammering noises a minute and a half before. And it turns out to be something he did after he found out how valuable it was. So it's like less funny.
It's unfortunate.
It's not, though, if you just listen to it. My recommendation to anyone listening. Just go for the audio. Back to Middle-earth. As the second day of their riding drew on, the heaviness in the air increased. In the afternoon, the dark clouds began to overtake them, a somber canopy with great billowing edges flecked with dazzling light. The sun went down, blood red in a smoking haze. The spears of the riders were tipped with fire as the last shafts of light kindled the steep faces of the peaks of Trihirn. Now very near they stood, on the northernmost arm of the White Mountains, 3 jagged horns staring at the sunset. In the last red glow, men in the vanguard saw a black speck, a horseman riding back towards them. They halted, awaiting him. He came, a weary man with dinted helm and cloven shield. Slowly he climbed from his horse and stood there a while, gasping. At length he spoke. "Is Eomer here?" he asked. "You come at last, but too late and with too little strength. Things have gone evilly since Theodred fell. We were driven back yesterday over the Isen with great loss. Many perished at the crossing. Then at night fresh forces came over the river against our camp. All Isengard must be emptied, and Saruman has armed the wild hillmen and herdfolk of Dunland beyond the rivers, and these also he loosed upon us." If you'll excuse me, I need to blow my nose real quick. I'm sorry if that undercuts the tragedy, though.
I mean, slightly, but that's okay.
Got mixed feelings about the Dunlandings. I mean, it's obvious that you could go in a couple of different directions, but they're basically the displaced natives.
Yeah, I'm not really on the side of the Rohirrim when it comes to the Dunlanders.
But it doesn't say anything about them, like, force marching them across the river. I don't know if the Rohirrim were like, "Hey, can we live with you?" And the Dunlandings were like, "Ew, no, we want to keep our race pure. We're going over here now." And then they came back with hatred and swords during this war. Like that.
I don't think people really do that. But it's much more likely that they were like, "Hey, this is our land now." And the Dunlanders were like, "What? But we live here." The Rohirrim were like, "Do you have a flag?" And
no, there's a million of us. No flag, no country. We can't have one.
Exactly. Then Eorl the Young just planted his green flag with the white horse and was like, "This is Rohan now, and get out." So yeah, like I said, I'm not on the Rohirrim side here. I don't think they're on the right side of history.
Yeah, but the Dunlandings are siding with the
with Saruman, sure, but Saruman lies. Who knows what he told them?
That's true. Well, he did tell them that the Rohirrim would eat them if they were captured, so that's a thing.
Yeah. So what?
We don't know what else he lied about.
Right. Well, and I'm just gonna say, if I thought that the people I was fighting would eat me if they caught me, I sure would fight real hard.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. That's just it. Here we have a population that is displaced and disgruntled and undereducated, and some big shot who wants to destroy everything has lied to them and gotten them all frothed up. And told them that the Rohirrim will eat them if they win.
I think that in the scope of history, it makes more sense to compare us to the Rohirrim than the Dunlanders, just in terms of.
I'm not saying Alice. I'm saying there are facets of America that are like that.
I'm not quite on board with this comparison, but let's go back to Middle Earth. Let's not do
better. Oh. These also he loosed upon us. We were overmastered. The shield wall was broken. Erkenbrand of Westfold has drawn off those men he could gather towards his fastness in Helm's Deep. The rest are scattered. Where is Eomer? Tell him there is no hope ahead. He should return to Edoras before the wolves of Isengard come there. Theoden had sat silent, hidden from the man's sight behind his guards. Now he urged his horse forward. "Come, stand before me, Kjol," he said. He knows every man in his army. "I am here. The last host of the Eorlingas has ridden forth. It will not return without battle." The man's face lightened with joy and wonder. He drew himself up. Then he knelt, offering his notched sword to the king. "Command me, lord," he cried, "and pardon me. I thought You thought I remained in Mediceld, bent like an old tree under winter's snow. So it was when you rode to war. But a west wind has shaken the boughs, said Theoden. Give this man a fresh horse. Let us ride to the help of Erkenbrand. While Theoden was speaking, where are they going to find a fresh horse? Fresh-er?
Right? You've been riding for 2 days.
Get the packs off one of the pack horses. It's not winded yet.
It was a nice thought. There's probably some like Seneschal behind him just being like, 2 days. Okay, fine.
The fresh horse. Kjorl's clearly in need of a little like rest as well. But yeah, it's still a nice thought. While Theoden was speaking, Gandalf rode a short way ahead, and he sat there alone, gazing north to Isengard and west to the setting sun. Now he came back. Ride, Theoden, he said. Ride to Helm's Deep. Go not to the fords of Isen, and do not tarry in the plain. I must leave you for a while. Shadowfax must bear me now on a swift errand. Turning to Aragorn and Eomer and the men of the king's household, he cried, Keep well the Lord of the Mark till I return. Await me at Helm's Gate. I almost read that as Helm's Cafe, and now I want to go to Helm's Cafe.
It's very hard to get in.
Well, that's why you bring something explosive and you stick it in the culvert.
I mean, that's how I get tables in restaurants these days.
And you work for a company that I'm also picturing like when your drink is ready for you at Helm's Cafe, they blow the horn and it sounds like a host in the mountains behind are all blowing their horns. Shit. Farewell. He spoke a word to Shadowfax, and like an arrow from the bow, the great horse sprang away. Even as they looked, he was gone. A flash of silver in the sunset, a wind over the grass, a shadow that fled and passed from sight. Snowmane snorted and reared, eager to follow, but only a swift bird on the wing could have overtaken him. What does
Would that be a wren or a finch?
Sparrow.
Oh, is it? Were wrens not involved in that bit at all? Did I forget what kind of bird? Okay, look, I don't have elf eyes. Moving on. What were you saying?
Just drink your beer.
I don't have any beer.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, now I'm sad. Oh well. Anyways,
I've often thought that I've also wondered if I could do a drunken Silmarillion monologue.
Have you not already done that?
Not on camera.
Oh, on camera, yes. Okay.
No, I love drunk history. Mm-hmm. I love the entire concept. I want to branch out into fiction, or I want them to. Because if I tried doing it, I think I'd mess up. I can't even keep the 7 Sons of Feanor straight. I could probably give you some Beren and Luthien, but I get really confused when we get down to the bloodlines that produced Elrond and Elros. But I love their story, but I just don't. I'd lose it somewhere.
Look, when you have 7 sons and you start all of their names with Finn, I don't know what you thought was going to happen.
And every single one of them has a unique fate and a unique style that he mentions once, and then you have to keep track of it. You can't read the Silmarillion without writing notes. I
think you'll find that I don't have to keep track of it.
Managed so far, have you?
I mean, I haven't read the Silmarillion, so it's been going all right.
I don't recommend reading it. I recommend opening it to a random page and absorbing 10 pages and then walking away briskly.
So gelatinous cube style, or I'm just riffing on the word absorbing.
More like, huh, that bit's interesting, and then you remember that bit. I don't play enough D&D to know how a gelatinous cube behaves, so I don't want to use that as my metaphor.
It absorbs things.
So you be the gelatinous cube.
Yes, that was the joke that I was making, was like, just like absorb it into your skin.
I eventually caught on. I thought you meant like a Jello shot.
That's a very different type of absorption.
I have alcohol on the brain right now.
I'm picturing a D&D adventure. Someone's like, look out for gelatinous cubes. And they're like, oh, Jello shots. That sounds great. I didn't realize what a gelatinous cube was.
Now I want to see a gelatinous cube drinking a Jello shot.
Now I want to make a Jello shot called the gelatinous cube.
Oh,
you'd have to embed things in it.
Yes. little candy skeletons.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, this might be like a Halloween plan for me, because God knows there's nothing else to do.
Right? That's good, because I've entirely forgotten what the orc draft was. I don't think I wrote it down. We would have to go back and watch footage.
Oh, Lord. God, we came up with something so bad, too.
Yeah.
Was Jaeger involved? I feel like
peach schnapps and fireball.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
There were a couple other things, and I can't remember what they were.
Like flat root beer, I think. I don't know if I just made that up, but that's what I'm picturing now. Oh, even worse. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, already tastes like battery acid.
Oh, and Sambuca.
Don't like it. Don't like it.
It's like...
It's a hefty no thank you.
Your medicine!
No, I'm going with gelatinous cube Jello shots. That's going to be way more fun. I'll have to find some candy skeletons.
Yeah, not difficult this month.
I sort of want to try to make like some armor out of sugar paste too.
That's a really good idea. In fact, sugar paste is probably better than hard candy, because you don't drink Jello shots expecting to chew, and you don't want to tear up your throat with little bones.
Yeah, that's true. One certainly hopes that you're not expecting to chew a Jello shot.
Speaking of not at all speaking of this, have you seen the charcoal briquettes molded in the shape of skulls?
No.
They are expensive.
That sounds amazing.
They're like this big, but they're skulls, and you light them, and then there's flaming heaps of skulls, and then they go white, and then you have a flaming heap of white skulls, and then they kind of fall apart. I want to cook food on it so bad.
That is hashtag aesthetic.
Yes. And we have an indoor grill. I could do this all winter.
Or at least once if they're super expensive.
They are that.
Speaking of aesthetics, did I tell you about the Sandy and I searching for the grunge tag on Tumblr?
No. Is grunge back?
No, kids on Tumblr don't know what grunge is. It's really bad.
No.
There's like a couple of like little bits of Kurt Cobain, but then there were also like some Taylor Swift pictures. And like anything that's like wearing a flannel they think is grunge, or they don't understand the difference between grunge and punk. But they also don't know the difference between goth and emo. So
that hurts too.
There's that.
Yeah. No.
Anyway, we had a delightful evening going through the grunge tag and just being like, oh, what? Oh, no. No. There's also a lot of overlap on Tumblr between grunge and cottagecore, which like don't go together at all.
No.
At all.
It's like confusing hippie with mod. I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to go back a couple more decades, like, guys, keep up.
They've not done their research.
There were no go-go boots at the Summer of Love. Come on, keep track of your fashion history.
They're not paying attention. They're just like,
we watched Enola Holmes last night.
Oh, nice. I've been hearing a lot about that. How was it?
A charming hot mess.
May we all live to be described as such.
I adore Millie Bobby Brown. The boy they found to be her foil is also charming and very pretty in a Nicholas Hoult sort of way.
Sure.
They used the trope of an amateur is giving him a haircut, so now he can have a really modern haircut. Kind of weirdness.
That's a little weird, but okay.
Costuming is all over the place.
I did see that Carolina Zabrowska did a video about it. So
I watched her immediately afterward, and yeah, it's not just experts that spot it though, because I know a tiny little bit, but it's like the silhouettes. Even an amateur can get a little jarred by.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got your silhouettes decades apart, it's like if it's not for a good reason.
When's it set?
Apparently 1884.
1880s. Yeah, that's a very specific silhouette. What were they doing, like 1840s shit?
There's crinolines hanging up. That was the 1850s. There's but nobody's wearing the crinolines. They're just for sale in shops.
Seems like not a great business model, but okay.
And there's very Edwardian corsetry, but there's not Edwardian necklines, and those felt a little jarring. There's too much tight lacing. That's a trope that all of our fashion
Lord.
Fashion historians roll their eyes onto the floor for. And the story never quite figures out what it is. Is it a story about repression? Is it a story about revolution? Is it a story about a coming of age? Is it a story about teen love? Is it a story about feminism? Is it a story about how repressive girls' schools are? Like, all of those are presented. Oh, or is it a story about a girl and her brother reconciling their relationship? Because that's also launched. All these ships are launched, and I don't really think any of them made it to harbor.
Oh dear.
Right? It would have made a very good miniseries, because then you could explore all of those in turn. Or you could cut half of them and make one shorter movie that would be a lot cleaner.
Well,
I don't know. But I'm glad I saw it. It was fun to watch. Millie can break that fourth wall and make it charming and fun, which is kind of a gift that not many people have. Hi, internet. And there's no other three walls. We're just fourth wall.
That is true. Also, I just did a thing with my face that made my chin like, and I'm just this angle is great.
No more turtle chin. No more turtle chin.
Just very easy to do when I'm looking down at the computer, but no one cares.
You look great. There's also, they touch a few times on the fact that her mother educated her at home and made her read every book in the library, but that never manifests as actual working knowledge. Like, you'd think there would be some books.
I mean, it depends on what you stock your library with.
Yeah. She's very good at anagrams, and she's very good at little puzzles, which is another thing that they could have done more of, but they did some. And then you're like, but she's being cheated by this person because she's a naive country girl. Didn't she read any books that would have given her some insight into the way people behave? Could you have given us a little more flashback, like she's doing something clever? How does she know how to do that? Here's one of the books that she was reading as a child.
Yeah, I think the clever things makes more sense. Like, I can state from experience that it's possible to be extremely well read and also extremely socially awkward and not understand people at all.
Yes.
So
the contents of the books ought to have come into the story a little more. We're told that she read a bunch. We're not given any evidence of such.
Yeah.
We're told that she was taught how to fight from the age of 3. We don't see her win a single fight.
See, that bugs me.
Right? She does well. She holds her own, but she does get her ass kicked. Again, charmingly. Anyway, I should have said spoilers. Sorry, humans.
Oops.
You heard nothing.
I'm unlikely to watch it, so I'm not personally offended.
Were you going to before I shredded it for you?
No, it's not something I'm in the mood for right now. I'm not watching a lot of TV or movies or even YouTube videos. Visual entertainment's not really suiting my brain.
Fair enough. Henry Cavill is charming.
He's good
charming
at that.
is a very word I'm using a lot. It is. They're clearly having fun. They did a good job. Miniseries would have been better. It's mine. Yeah.
Check.
If anyone involved ever watches this, I love you. Don't put crinolines in the 1880s. I'm sorry, I'm still on this tack, but I've got to get it out of my brain because it's brain worming. I also really love storytelling through wardrobe, and they did some of that, but there were times when you're like, why is she inexplicably wearing that? There's no reason for her to be wearing that. It doesn't tell the story. It may or may not be the right era, but it's not. It was like Amidala. Remember in the Star Wars movies, every time Amidala was on screen, it's like, okay, she's wearing something big and impressive, but you want to do anything else with that? Like, why is she wearing dominatrix gear the moment she decides to be most vulnerable? Why is she wearing a fucking hoop skirt to hang out on the balcony? Why is her hair lacquered while she's packing her bags? Like that it didn't make any sense. It was all wardrobe for the sake of wardrobe. They were so obsessed with whether they could, they didn't stop to think about whether they should.
I knew that's where you were going. I knew it.
You heard the Jeff Goldblum arriving.
I did.
Sorry. No, I'm not. Not even a little bit. Shit, it's late. I'm sorry. Let's go. I am sorry that I've been non-Middle Earthing.
That is quite all right with me. I've just been over here knitting, and that's what I would have been doing anyway.
Gandalf just rode away.
Hmm?
Gandalf just rode away.
Indeed.
What does that mean? Said one of the guard to Hama. That Gandalf Greyheim has need of haste, answered Hama. Ever he goes and comes unlooked for. Wormtongue, were he here, would not find it hard to explain, said the other. True enough, said Hama. But for myself, I will wait until I see Gandalf again. Maybe you will wait long, said the other.
I mean, I think Hama dies before he sees Gandalf again, so spoilers, but yeah, he kind of will wait a while.
I hadn't really thought of that. Dude's just saying, Gandalf just ran away because we're not going to win, and Hama's like, Maybe he'll be back, but I never really realized, Helm is never. That's it. Damn it. Oh, I'm sad.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. The host turned away now from the road to the fords of Isen and bent their course southward. Night fell, and still they rode on. The hills drew near, but the tall peaks of Threhirn were already dim against the darkening sky. Still some miles away, on the far side of the Westfold Vale, lay a green coombe, a great bay in the mountains, out of which a gorge opened in the hills. Men of that land called it Helm's Deep, after a hero of old wars who had made his refuge there. Ever steeper and narrower it wound inward from the north under the shadow of the Threhirn, till the crow-haunted cliffs rose like mighty towers on either side, shutting out the light. At Helm's Gate, before the mouth of the deep, there was a heel of rock thrust outward by the northern cliff. There, upon its spur, stood high walls of ancient stone, and within them was a lofty tower. Men said that in the far-off days of the glory of Gondor, the Sea Kings had built here this fastness with the hands of giants. The Hornburg, it was called, for a trumpet sounded upon the tower, echoed in the deep behind, as if armies long forgotten were issuing to war from caves beneath the hills. A wall, too, the men of old had made from the Hornburg to the southern cliff, barring the entrance to the gorge. Beneath it, by a wide culvert, the Deeping stream passed out. About the feet of the Horn Rock it wound, and flowed then in a gully through the midst of a wide green gore, sloping gently down from Helm's Gate to Helm's Dyke. Thence it fell into the Deeping coombe and out into the Westfold Vale. There in the Hornburg at Helm's Gate, Erkenbrand, master of Westfold on the borders of the Mark, now dwelt. As the days darkened with threat of war, being wise, he had repaired the wall and made the fastness strong. Do we want to take another page because we started late, or do we want to go because it's 10?
No, we want to go because it's 10. I gotta
Fair
work.
enough. Oh, I wanted to talk to you about the movie anyway, so I would like for you to have seen it so that you could tell me I'm wrong or right or an emu, whatever.
Is that like a goth? I really got you with that one, huh?
Don't look at me. Voltaire has a YouTube channel. Have you seen it?
No.
The Lair of Voltaire. He sings songs. He does reviews of of Halloween decor that you can find at various shops.
That sounds pretty delightful.
It is. It's fucking delightful. And he's got badger beard now, so it's like yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, I don't know what I'm doing with my hands here. This is I'm not no, we're
Yeah.
Help. What?
I love you.
I love you too.
Cuidado.
Riamas.
See you on
Monday.
Monday.
Mm.